Members have formed our quorum, and it's also the appointed time. Please invite the deputations as well as the administration to come in. Secretariat, please help deputations and representatives from the administration to come into the room. Welcome, representatives from the administration. We have Dr. So Wai-man, Undersecretary for the administration, and also Mr. So Mr. Raymond C., PAS. And deputations, please be seated according to the nameplates. For deputations and individuals present, please be seated according to the seating plan as well as the nameplates. I first give the floor to the administration for a short briefing of the subject today, and then I will give the floor to deputations and individuals. Each can speak up to 3 minutes, and depending on the time left, I'll give the floor to members and also to the administration to respond. I expect we will have to meet until 10:50 or 10:55. So representatives from the administration, Undersecretary, please. Thank you. Regarding the Hillside Escalator links and elevator systems have been a subject very close to the heart of members with the THB representatives. I'm here to listen to views of deputations. May I brief to you the latest situation of the system. In 1999, an assessment mechanism was set up, and then we have in 2015, we briefed members on the outcome of our assessment. There are 18 proposals in our drawing board. 3 have been completed and already commissioned. 5 are under construction, and the remaining 10 are at different stages of implementation. With the support of stakeholders, we will apply for funding approval from the Council ASAP and start the construction works. The government is also carrying out a consultancy study to review the mechanism established in 2009. So we have received 140 new proposals since 2009, and then we are working on our scoring scheme to set out the priorities. I will give the floor to the administration, to the Highways Department, the Transport Department, to brief you on the latest situation. Mr. Ma, or rather Mr. Zhu. Mr. Zhu, please. Thank you, Chairman. We'd like to brief you on the latest situation of the Hillside Escalator links and elevator systems. So in 2009, we set up the assessment mechanism, and we have chosen 18 projects. As of today, we've completed 3, including the one in Chiwanshan, which was commissioned in October 2017, and the one in Yuhua Street, commissioned in October 2015, and like Kingshan Road and Princess Margaret Hospital, and which was commissioned in January 2017. There are 5 under construction, including the one at Changhang in Chengyi, another one in Waterloo Road, another one at Kuaishing Circuit and Hengsheng Road, and also Taiwo Hao Road and Watong Road and Castle Peak Road to the Industrial Street. And there are 5 under construction. And as for the one in Chengyi Street, lift tower, it is in progress. We expect that by July 2019, the lift tower at Chengyi West Road will be commissioned, and then for the tower at Chengyi Street, it will be commissioned in the 3rd quarter of this year. For the lift tower at Waterloo Hill Road, the main plant has been completed, and we are now working on the external cladding and the installation of blinds. It will be commissioned in the 3rd quarter of this year. And for the system at Kuaishing Circuit to Kuaishing Road, and the main plant is already completed. The elevated walkway and also the plant room is being constructed. We hope to complete it in the 2nd half of 2020. For the system covering Taiwo Hao Road and Watong Zhou Street, the main construction works started in January 2018 and was completed in January this year. The main works started in February this year, and the expected completion date is the 4th quarter of 2021. For the system between Castle Peak Road to Industrial Street, we're now working on a site investigation, and we are now assessing the main works. The expected date of completion is the 2nd quarter of 2023. For projects under planning, study, and design, we have 10. I don't think you have to read them out one by one. All right, these are the 10 as shown on the slide. For the one for Brahma Hill, it is is under design, and we're going to get started in the 3rd quarter of this year. And as for Chongyun North pedestrian walkway, we are now refining the project. We will consult the community very soon. We plan to reconsult the TNT Committee of Wong Tai Sin District Council in May, and we will get started quite soon. And as for the assessment mechanism, I would defer to the Transport Department. Yes, Mr. Leung. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to brief members on the progress of a review of the vacuum mechanism. In 2017, January policy address, it was proposed that there should be a review of the mechanism. And then in December 2017, the review was started, and the expected completion date is within 2020. Since the start of work in the 3rd quarter of 2017, we have received 114 proposals for such systems. The TD will use the revised mechanism to screen out, to work out the priorities for the 114 proposals. For those that cannot be included in the first batch, they will be reconsidered together with other newly received proposals after we have started the first batch of works. On 14th of December 2018, we reported to the Transport Panel the revised vetting mechanism. Now for Hillside elevators and escalators, we have a 2-step system. First, screening. Second, a detailed scoring. In the first stage, we will adopt a comprehensive technical assessment approach, we will consider the feasibility if the 6 scenarios mentioned here are not involved. Then we'll go into the detailed scoring stage first. Insufficient land or there isn't any land available for acquisition. There are insurmountable technical difficulties, or the gradient is less than 1 to 8, or within 300 meters of the proposed site, there are already similar facilities, or the gradient difference is less than 6 meter, and there may be precious heritage and trees nearby. And the situation doesn't fall within any of the 6 scenarios. We'll go into the detailed assessment stage. We'll consider the social benefits and screen out some proposals, and will consult stakeholders such as district councils. We will confirm the alignment, whether lifts or elevators or escalators should be used, or whether both. And as for cost effectiveness, will based on technical details confirmed by district councils, assess the cost effectiveness of the proposals. Will consider the estimated cost per capita of usage and work out the cost effectiveness. On the 14th of December 2018, we reported to the Transport Panel of the Council the following systems do not fall into the revised vetting mechanism. For instance, those that only involve one road or a connection of one footbridge, or those already in the PWSC program, or those that are entirely within a public hospital or PRH estate, or entirely within private land or properties. Our consultant is now carrying out the preliminary technical feasibility study of the 114 proposals to shortlist those that would go into the detailed scoring stage for consideration of social benefits. We expect to complete all the preliminary technical assessment within the second half of this year, so that we can start the assessment on social benefits. We hope that in early 2020, we can start the community consultation of proposals that score high in social benefits, so that we can confirm the alignment, and then we will consider the cost effectiveness of these proposals. We expect that within 2021, we'll be able to work out the priorities for items that pass both the social benefits and cost effectiveness assessment. And then in 2021, we will start to implement those worthy items under the 2 assessment stages in our PWSC programs.
Thank you very much. I'd like to remind the deputations that if you there is actually a button for you to choose the floor channel, the Cantonese channel, and the Putonghua channel. Also, please be reminded of the notes to delegations attending electrical meetings, or for those in the public gallery. So there is a note for those attending our meeting. I also like to remind individuals and deputations that your comments and speeches will not be protected by the powers and privileges ordinance of this council. And because of the time constraint, I can only allow 3 minutes for each deputation. After 3 minutes, the bell will ring and you will have to stop. If you have other written submissions, you may submit them to us, and our staff on site will collect them. First, I'd like to invite Mr. Liu Chi-chung. Good morning. We're talking about the football garden in Mao Shan. It's 30 years. There are 4,500 households. It's one of the largest residential, estates. According to by census, those over the age of 60, there are 4,300, which is about 30% of the population living there. For the Kum Ying Court and Fupo Garden, they would go to the Mount Shan for shopping, and the link and the escalator link is what what they use to go shopping. And for the government has now proposed 18 projects, and for the Fupo Garden, it ranks number 16. After fighting for this for more than 20 years, the Highways Department now is already started the preliminary design for the lift system there. After collecting the views of the residents and also with the owners corporation there, I'd like to raise 2 points for the department's consideration. First of all, the number of lifts and their carrying capacity. There are thousands of people using the lifts there. We're very concerned about the capacity of the lifts there. Furthermore, the service and maintenance of the lifts. We hope that there will be periodic professional maintenance and inspection. We hope the government will understand our concern about the Hillside Escalator links. We hope the TD will deploy more manpower and engage the consultants to commence the project as soon as possible. Thank you. I'm also very concerned about this item, and that's why we've come here to express our views. We hope the government will deploy resources on projects which will benefit the community. Since I represent the District Council, I'd like to point out that there are 2 projects in Sha Tin, the Shui Wall Court and the Fupo Garden, and we hope that the government can complete those projects ASAP. What I'd like to say is that there are many long slopes within, for example, in Fengsheng Court, there are 2,400 odd households. It's an HOS estate. There are some slopes there and some ramps, and with the aging population, we need to build escalators to help the residents go around. So, of course, this is not. So we've come here today. We hope that the government can, include it. So I think so we hope that the government can consider relaxing the plans so that the people in the community will be able to, improve the quality of life. Next, in the 1990s, when the escalator link in Central was commissioned, people in Shui Wall also would like to have such an escalator link. And since the year 2000, we hope that, and the law of the government, that an escalator link could be built for Shui Wall Court. And the 3, previous chief executive had also mentioned this, but progress has been slow. We conducted an opinion poll at Shui Wall Court and received more than 900 responses. More than 90% of those who responded supported the proposal to build an uphill escalator link for Shui Wall Court. Years ago, Mr. So has gone to the Shui Wall Court and actually, conducted a site visit. And afterwards, they also help us resolve questions relating to the land titles. We'd like to thank Mr. So today, and we hope that the TD, after collecting the study, will then the Highways Department can immediately carry out the feasibility study. And I hope that you will also consult the local community and work with the Housing Department. So the link will cover Shui Wall Court, Fulton Estate. There are many people in the vicinity are using it, and we hope the government can really help us here so that for the feasibility study and in your design, we hope that you can expedite the work so that by September this year we can have a preliminary discussion at the District Council meeting, and so that we can also consult the local residents. We hope the government will, within the present term, complete the project as soon as possible, so that people living in Shui Wo will get the benefits that they deserve. So I hope the relevant departments and electrical members can help us. Mr. Cheng Ying. Thank you. I am Ching Cheng Yun from the Shentin Wai district in Sha Tin. I would like to first of all, express my expectations of the screening system. I agree that we should take into consideration the human traffic, but I think the system with which you use to measure the human traffic, are you going to take the human traffic for a whole year or certain time periods? So you need to be able to convince the residents. I also like to stress that I'd like to ask whether or not the proposed link is really indispensable, and also how it is very important in terms of the livelihood of the people. And I think you should award bigger weighting for that factor. Another critical point which the residents have asked is who should be making the assessment, whether the Kaifongs and district councillors can play a role. Is it only for the officials and the professionals to make that judgment? I think we need more transparency here so that all the stakeholders would be able to participate. Secondly, we hope that the government should announce as soon as possible the proposed locations where these links are to be built and whether it's feasible, so that there won't be any unnecessary speculations or people fighting for these projects to be built. I think you should let the Kaifongs know as soon as possible. And also, I think the entire screening mechanism, basically I would understand that this takes place at the district council, but you must also remember that district council may distort the the pictures. I hope the government will be careful. Finally, from Sha Tin to for the steps from our estate down to Sha Tin, we hope that there would be a lift tower or an escalator link. But hope the administration will also note that at the moment the environment there is very bad. So could we first have the geotechnical improvements first before you would build the link or the lift systems? I'm a Kwai Ching district councillor. I'm also here representing the district council. The highways department, we heard just now, has a new project to study into the feasibility of these uphill escalator links. Now, since 2008, when the study started, actually I have a paper with me, so I'm not going to repeat the details here. For stage one of the project, there are so far only 8 projects which have begun. There are 10 other projects which have not been able to come on stream in time, and it's been 11 years since already. For the last 10 years or 11 years, I think compared with 11 years ago, there's a lot of changes in our district already. Take Kwai Ching, for example, we used to only have 42,000 people. Now we have another 8,000 people with the addition of another estate. So I hope that the chairman and the officials will, in the forthcoming plan, include new elements into your scoring system and take into consideration the increase in population size. Otherwise, if you do not provide proper transport facilities, in the end, the whole community and all the residents would suffer. On the other hand, in respect of the early plans, I don't think we have other facilities to complement the proposal. Take Kwai Sing Circuit, for example, the uphill escalator link linking Kwai Sing Heights. There are 500 meters long Kwai Sing Road. While the road is being widened, there is no shelter for the pedestrians. From Hing Sing Road to the Kwai Sing Playground, again, the pavement has been widened, but there is no cover. So for an aging district with an aging population, that is not desirable. Why didn't you, in the original design, take these factors into consideration? In the forthcoming plan, you should incorporate such elements so that the whole project could be perfected. For the remaining 10 projects, I would like to represent the Kwai Sing District Council to urge government to commence those projects as soon as possible. Mr. Chen Yan Kantan. For Shui Wo Court, the escalator link connecting with the Photon railway station, there is an urgent need for that. Several years ago, when the situation has changed, when you first announced the standards for escalator links, Shui Wo Court is already 40 years old, and the population there has aged a lot. And in the district, we have many housing estates which will be completed, and population intake will begin soon. So there will be, So we hope that the escalator link will provide another option so that we can divert traffic. Unfortunately, the escalator link has been in the queue for 10 years already, and the works have yet to start. Not even the advanced design has begun. Some Kaifongs have told me that government departments are passing the buck, and after the feasibility study has been completed, the whole project is forgotten. Together with my colleague, I've been following up on this project. There have been correspondence between ourselves and the government. We hope the government can tell the residents why we have waited for so long, and yet the feasibility study and the design is still not yet forthcoming. I also like to thank the Secretary for coming to the Shui Wo Court for a site visit, and we did follow up on those issues with him. According to the paper for our meeting today, I understand that the Highways Department will be conducting the advanced design works. So I would like to relay some of the aspirations of our residents to the officials, including the escalator links connecting Shui Wo Court to Photon railway station. We hope that it will go both uphill and downhill. We should also maintain the step design, and that there should be proper shelter and lighting. I hope the government will consider such requests and incorporate these into your design. Earlier on, we had a signature campaign urging the government to announce the design as soon as possible. And as I said, before September this year, we hope that the project could be put to the District Council for discussion. Within only a matter of an hour, we received more than 200 signatures. So one can see, therefore, that this project is really welcomed by the residents, and they would like it to start as soon as possible. Some residents are also concerned who should be paying for the expenses. In our previous correspondence, the Bureau has already promised that the design, the operations, and the maintenance will all be paid for by the government. We hope that the government can really consult the residents and tell them about the progress of the works and also the costs to be incurred. Mr. Chen Kin-chun.
Good morning. I'd like to talk about Hon Sheng Garden of Zhang Quan O. Let me tell you the background of this garden. It was built more than 30 years ago. It was on the hill slope in Zhang Quan O, and now Zhang Quan O has got reclamation, and there are residential developments, and they are well served by public transport infrastructure. But Hon Sheng Garden was among the earliest residential development. A PSPS development. In Zhangguanou, it is not so well served by public transport, and I was given a brochure of sales printed 30 years ago. It was promised that an MTR station would be built there. And then the Zhangguanou line was commissioned more than a decade ago. So the alignment was along the reclamation to Po Lam estate. So the property owners here were cheated by the government. They are now isolated, and they have to rely on GMB service for shuttle to the MTR station and other public transport. The residents there hope that there can be an escalator or elevator link as shown on this picture. It is on top of a small hill slope, and it is not infeasible that elevator or escalator link be provided. And it will facilitate residents to get to the MTR station, so they do not have to rely on GMB service already. GMB service is unreliable, and with the escalator, the residents will find more convenient. So it's been 30 years. The property owners who were middle-aged are now elderly persons, and they are not well off, and it is it's a hardship for them to have to take a GMB shuttle to reach the MTR station. And I am of the view that this is feasible. But regarding the implementation timetable and the funding application, there is no plan yet, and we hope that it can be implemented as soon as possible. Mr. Tam. Thank you. I am from Sai Kung District Council. Zhangguanou Choi Lam Estate in Kingmin Court on Hillside, and then in 2002 the Zhangguanou line was commissioned, but the residents there could not benefit. The population there were 300,000, and 90% of the residents could walk to the MTR station, but the 10% population who live on the hillside has been neglected. GMB services are expensive and unreliable. At peak hours, passengers have to wait for more than 20 minutes before they could board a GMB, and if there is serious congestion in Zhangguanou, then traffic is almost paralyzed. So we want the extension of the Zhangguanou line be commissioned as soon as possible, and we also want the administration to consider building pedestrian links or paths to reach Po Lam station. From Hongxing Garden to Po Hong Road, the pedestrian link is on the drawing board. We want Choi Lam Estate and Kingmin Court to be incorporated into the same project, and yet the secretary only said that the two would be handled separately. I have to criticize the government. Choi Lam Estate and Kingmin Court have a population of 20,000, and Hongxing Garden has a population of 5,500. They were the earliest residents to settle in Zhangguanou, and the population there is also aging as well. So why can't an escalator link be built here? This assessment system was set up 10 years ago. Why can't there be some adjustment? Whether we talk about one link or two link, or whether the two should be connected, I hope the administration and the council can reconsider this. Please incorporate Choi Min Court and Choi Lam Court into the study. I'll give the floor to Madam Pauline Yan first because she is indisposed. I apologize because of a medical appointment to attend afterwards. Now, I am from Aberdeen of the Southern District Council. Now, in between Shek Pai Wan and Aberdeen, there is a staircase with more than 100 steps. When the two lifts were built, Shek Pai Wan estate was just commissioned. The population was close to 13,000, and so 2 lift towers was sufficient. But now Shek Pai Wan has a population of 20,000, and Yuan Estate and Yukon Estate, and actually 25,000 people now live in the area, and they can only rely on the 2 lifts. And from time to time, the lifts have to be repaired and maintained, so services are very insufficient. I've served as a district councillor there for 4 years, and almost every week I receive complaints from residents living in the housing developments. And in fact, for that escalator, it has over 100 steps. Some people want another escalator to build, but unfortunately there are 2 lifts close by, and so the proposal is not accepted. Can you please relax the criteria? Now, if there is only 1 lift to serve 100 million people, you can't say that because there is a lift, no escalator is needed. In Shek Pai Wan, we do not have just 1 housing estate because traffic support is very poor. Yesterday, the Southern District Council met with legislators here. Residents of the view that there is no bus service via Aberdeen Tunnel. So the residents have to come to Aberdeen to get a transfer. And then they have to either use the staircase, they have to walk the stairs, or the lift. And then Aberdeen public market will be refurbished very soon. And Aberdeen public market is heavily used. There is an other market at Shek Pai Wan. How are people supposed to reach the market? Do they have to walk the stairs, or do they have to take the lift, or should they build, or should they take a bus? Well, people may say that escalators are not feasible because they are underground utilities. Even if that's the case, can you conduct a feasibility study so that the residents can be assured? Thank you. I'm from Fortress Hill. I'd like to share with you the views of the residents of Fortress Hill about that Brahma Hill plan. There will be 11 escalators linking up the Brahma Hill region to Fortress Hill. Although it is well-intentioned, meant to provide convenience to the public, the design doesn't have the support of the residents because there was not sufficient public consultation. In 2008, the Eastern District Council wanted to build an escalator link, and then in 2009 it was incorporated into the government's plan. In 2014, a feasibility study, and 2016, a preliminary design was available. However, in the interim, there was no public and wide, extensive consultation of the residents. If we check East District Council documents, in 2014, there was a public consultation or sounding out meeting where only 20 residents attended. There was no banner, no poster, and no documents to invite members of the public to attend the consultation. In 2017, Gazetto was due to start, and it was only then that residents knew that there would be major works. And then they were so unhappy that there was no prior consultation. And to make amends, 2 consultation forums were held, but the opportunity was missed. Views from residents could not be incorporated into the plan anymore. Many residents have severely criticized the system. It's not that they would like to shelve the whole scheme. Their aspirations are very simple. They want the program time to be shorter as soon as possible, and environmental impact should be minimized, and they should make good use of the current facilities, and that is 2 lifts and 1 escalator. They would like to shorten the project time and minimize the project implications. Unfortunately, the government was not too forthcoming. In 2018, the Eastern District Council approved the relevant system. Now, the whole system has progressed very smoothly. Some aged areas would want the systems to be built as soon as possible, but you must consult the public properly so as not to harm their interests. So I urge the administration to reopen the dialogue with residents. Thank you. Thank you. The government would like to provide a pedestrian-friendly walking environment for the public, but the government's performance have been disappointing in this regard. Many housing developments are built on hill slopes. In Sha Tin Tai Wai Hintai Street, there are 3 residential developments. They are on mid-levels of the district. And Hin King Estate is the only self-sufficient community in the area. So people either have to take a GMB or walk the stairs in order to reach Hin King. They can also walk along a very steep passageway, and a carriageway, and this is very inconvenient. Wheelchair users and baby prams cannot negotiate the steps. And for young people, they may take 10 minutes, but for the elderly, it will be more than 40 minutes, and it's also difficult for parents to push their baby prams. And from time to time, there are monkeys and wild boars, and they want to rob food from residents. And people want elevator system to be built there to meet the daily needs of residents. So the government should improve the scoring system, and the vetting procedures should be streamlined, and there should be funding for construction of such systems. Madam Lampoling, thank you. In the past 10 years, I will only be briefed on the progress of these links during district council elections. And now I understand that there is no feasibility study yet. So many elderly persons have waited for a long time for these systems, and these elections are just around the corner, and very soon they will heard about such appeals. Now, as an OC, we must reflect the views of our residents. Last week, we had an opinion poll, and residents were very responsive. We received over 700 questionnaires, and over 85% of them were in support of an escalator being built there.
Regarding the location, 60% proposed that we should build, an escalator connecting Shui Wai Court to the Votown railway station, and some 30% proposed that we should build an escalator in a vacant place there. Given the constraint that Shui Wai Court, more than half the residents don't mind the escalator to be divided in sections. 80% support the building of the escalator, because every morning during the rush hours along Shui Wai Road and Shan Mei Street, it's already very, very crowded, and actually the traffic situation in Votown, like this project, we've been talking about this for years, but still the government is turning a deaf ear to our complaints, and we don't know what the district councillors have done for so many years. And the residents will hope the department will really actively consider the feasibility of building an escalator rather than simply, talking about, studies. The government should not ignore the objections. Most people who object to building the escalator are worried that with the projects commencing, it will, damage the environment, and they're also worried about the users having to foot the bill for the building and the maintenance of the facilities. The government should listen more to the residents. For the Shea Wall Court Owners Incorporation, we will welcome the administration to get in touch with us. We would be pleased to organize, briefings for residents so that they can understand more about district issues. Later on, we will submit a report to LegCo about our, consultation. I also like to clarify that the OC is neutral on this subject. We do not support any person, advocating the building of the escalator system. We're just reflecting the views of the residents. So I hope that the district personnel will not try to actually, exploit the owners incorporation. Many delegations pointed out that the progress of your policy is very slow, and I will not repeat the same point here. In discussing the point about uphill escalator links, I like to point out that this is the result of what the government has done for the last 15 years. Take Fulton, for example. The traffic situation there is very crowded. Shea Wall residents, while they can take the GMB or the bus going to the Fulton railway station or the Sha Tin railway station. But when the GMBs and the buses go to enter the district, the factory district, there are many, the streets so crowded that they can't move at all. Originally, it will only take a trip that would normally take 5 to 10 minutes, would take half an hour. For Fulton, there will be many residential projects to be completed, including private development and HOS flats, and the population will increase from 20,000 to 40,000. If the government and the council, the officials think that you can resolve the problem by building just escalator links without, looking for other solutions, this is not practical. Coming back to the progress at Shea Wall Court, the project connecting Shea Wall Court to the Fulton railway station, it is still, progressing very slowly. But we think that the government needs to, provide more support for the interdepartmental working group so that the working group can focus more attention on this project. You must expedite this project. At the same time, I hope that for those projects yet to be completed, you should come up with a timetable so that we will know when it will be completed. I also hope that when the government conduct the advanced feasibility studies, the government should also make an assessment of the impact on the neighboring environment and what will be the damages caused by the project, and come up with an option that will create the least impact. For example, for the trees to be felled in the course of the project, could they be replanted elsewhere? I understand that there are many other projects. The government has lots of experience in other projects. So before the government embark on this project, they should make reference of the experience they've learned in other projects before coming to a detailed decision. Finally, the Shea Wall Court Owners Corporation talk about the findings of that questionnaire survey. I think for this survey, 20% objected to the proposal. They're worried that if you build the escalator links, it will spoil the environment, and they're also worried that they may have to pay for the servicing and the maintenance of the escalator link in future. So when the government starts the feasibility study, the working group can also go to the different housing estates and conduct briefings to explain to the residents about this project and consult their opinion and to allay the concerns. Cheng Chi Wai, thank you. I'd like to thank all the officials and electrical members. We've come here today to, submit our views regarding the proposed Hillside Escalator links. We hope that we can perfect the assessment scheme so that the assessment system will be more people-oriented. Take, Chuk Yuen North, for example. Chuk Yuen North Estate has a desperate need for barrier-free, facilities, and therefore we need this project to include the provision of a lift. Chuk Yuen North Estate was completed in 1987 and 89. Technically and in terms of design, there was no provision of barrier-free access for the major, entrance to the estate was along Chuk Yuen Road. There was a long step, and it's the main entrance to Chuk Yuen North Estate. At this location, we do not have any barrier-free access. So next to the gymnasium, there are some steps, and people often would trip there. And that's the first thing we like to point out. And secondly, since if you're going to build a lift tower system there, in an estate where you have a large, percentage of elderly people, there's really an urgent need for that. Other than that, next to the estate, there are 2 hospitals and homes for the elderly, and also those who visit the relatives that's in these homes. So after detailed consultation, they've also agreed. They also told us that there is a desperate need for the lift system. There are also handicapped people and pregnant women, who are pushing, prams along. We've also talked to 10 NGOs with visitors, coming in and out of the facilities. We've already expressed our aspirations many times through our signature campaigns. Thirdly, over the years, the government have been talking about providing barrier-free access for all, but so far many government departments have not been able to really implement that. So hopefully today, by making a submission today, we can really make it happen. Finally, I'd like to point out that many people would fall and trip along the stairs there. I hope the uphill escalator link will be more people oriented, so that we can, really achieve the objective of barrier-free for all, barrier-free access for all. Thank you. I'd like to talk about the slope outside of Pak Fong Lau in Choi Wan Estate. This project has already been included in the assessment scheme for proposed lift towers. Choi Wan Estate is on the eastern part of Wong Tai Sin. The entire estate is built along a slope along Clearwater Bay Road. Choi Wan Estate 2 was built in 1978. Estate number 1 was completed in 1979. For the last 40 years, the residents there had to make use of the MTR system to move around. They have to go through the new and old Clearwater Bay Road and walk 15 to 30 minutes before they can go down to the railway station or coming up to the estate, or they can take the GMB going down to the Choi Hong MTR station. During peak hours, the new and old Clearwater Bay Road are seriously congested. I'm sure that you would have seen that on television. That is you probably have all heard about the congestion along Clearwater Bay Road. When residents, return from work or when they go to work, they have to spend a lot of time. Choi Wan Estate is an old estate with a large number of elderly persons. Within the estate, we need to provide for more pedestrian facilities. There is indeed an urgent need here. But as early as 2002, the government, together with Kowloon Property Development, came to an agreement. The company in Ngau Chi Wan, at the former St. Joseph Home for the Elderly, at that particular site, is going to build a residential development and a shopping complex. The site will also be used to provide for some public facilities, among which there will be, from Choi Wan Estate 1, there will be, footbridges and lifts connecting to the railway station. But 17 years have lapsed and the project have yet to begin. If you go from Choi Hong Estate going up to Sai Kung, the place is still a piece of barren land. The government had agreed with the Choi Wan residents' proposal, but Kowloon, property development has not honored this commitment, and the residents are still waiting. For the Ao Chi Wan site, Choi Wan Estate is on top of the hill, so if we were to build some lifts, towers there, it would really help. Finally, I hope the government will accept our proposal to build a lift near Pak Fong House. Thank you, Chairman. Today, I'm representing the residents at mid-levels. I also live in the mid-level. I've been living there for more than 20 years. Going from Central through Queens Road, going up to mid-level, the uphill escalator link has been built for more than 20 years. Recently, it has been renovated. Since March last year, it has been going through renovation. I am also a member of the Transport and Traffic Committee of the Central Western District Council. I've been monitoring the progress of the renovation works. I heard from today, I would like to reflect the views of the residents. First of all, after renovation, several sections of the escalator links, I think it's just been renovated a short while ago, but a few sections of the link, I've seen there have been emergency repair works being carried out, and the residents, I think the links is being subject to emergency repair during peak hours in the morning. There have been many times in the last few months. Why is it that they have to be subject to repair for such a long time? Is it that the EMSD or the servicing personnel are worried that that they will be taken to task, and that's why they would allow for a long period for the repair works? And from March 2018 to 2022, the renovation work will take 5 years. But for every section of the works, I think progress could actually be expedited. There are several sections which have already been completed, but they have to wait because they've set the timetable. They don't want to really expedite the project, and therefore they simply stick to the timetable which is fixed previously. Thirdly, in other districts, if we were to build uphill escalator links, we have to really consider the needs of the elderly and those with special needs. At the mid-levels, Contract Road, Robinson Road, and Kane Road, at the more steeper section of the escalator links, during the project, while the project is ongoing, if you do not provide for some railings for the elderly to hold on, I think in future, if you build similar links, you should do a better job and provide for that. And fourthly, in Central and Western, not only do we need the escalator links, I think the government should consider building a few more uphill escalator links, linking up with, for example, linking Hollywood Road with Kane Road. And finally, I hope the government can really review the situation and improve and come up with better facilities when they build, escalator links in future. As a district council from the Bremer Hill district, the Kai Fongs have always been asking me about the progress of the escalator links. Some senior residents have complained that they've been waiting for such a long time already, and the project has yet to begin. They hope that they can stay healthy and will eventually have a chance to use the escalators. For the Bremer Hill escalator links, I think we've been talking about it for more than 20 years. The District Council talked about it first in 2009, and it was until last year that it finally was endorsed by the District Council. For the last 10 years, Bremer Hill residents have had many, forum and question surveys. More than 90% of the residents agree that we should build the escalator link as soon as possible. Why is it that we have a majority support for that? Mainly because this is mean, because Bremer Hill residents face three major problems: traffic, mainly traffic, the traffic situation. During the morning peak hours, people have to wait for half an hour for the bus. And at noon, the B&Bs are always full, and they have to wait for another half hours. During the late afternoon peak hour, they have to wait for another half hours. Residents already have to spend a long time waiting for transport. What is worse is that during the afternoon, when kids return from school, it would take an hour for them to go to Bremer Hill. If any accident should happen, the emergency vehicles cannot go there. So there are serious safety issues here. This is the situation about the traffic congestion along in the Bremer Hill area. Wentin Road is very steep and the steps are very narrow, so residents don't want to take those steps. As a result, people going to and from Bremer Hill have to rely on motor transport. And also, therefore, the road simply cannot cope with the peak capacity during rush hours. Building an escalator link will benefit not only the residents and the students. When more and more people make use of the escalator links, there will be fewer vehicles going uphill, and thus alleviate the traffic congestion. So this will really benefit the residents. The Bremer Hill residents hope that the project can suit as soon as possible. And on behalf of the residents, I'd like to urge the councillors to approve the project so the government can get started with the project so that the situation could be improved.
Mr. Cậu Duy Trân. I live on a residential development along Tin Hau Temple Road. I support what Mr. Yun said regarding the Bremer Hill pedestrian link proposed, because it can bring a lot of improvement to our daily lives. The students there can also benefit. Every morning, I can see students carrying heavy school bags going to school. And Bremer Hill, they really need an escalator link. I understand the traffic is very congested. It is particularly so during morning and afternoon peaks. The HEL, that is the Hillside Escalator links and elevator system, is an environmental friendly facility, and it is good to construct an HEL. I hope to see the early implementation of the project so that it can be constructed and completed earlier. Thank you. Ms. Pang Lai Ha. Now, if we consider the 18 ranked proposals on the paper, they only have score 51 or so. So they are not really just a priority list. Is rather they should be built. Those with score 25, 29, 51, it would score a failure if you were a student. And as for the Bremer Hill HEL, the Highways Department has never given us any cost estimate, and not even when approval was granted at the EDC. I don't know how they work out the scores. Well, officials may not care how money is spent because it's not their money, and we are very angry. And as for the assessment system in Annex 3, after the revision, will it be superior to the one in Appendix A? Now, gradient less than 100. We have the the barrier-free access menu, the gradient should not be over 1 to 15 to avoid any risk. And now for the Fortress Hill link, the gradient would be 1 to 8. So I'd like to know whether items A to F are added in order are they tailor-made for the HAL for Bremer Hill? I hope the administration can explain to us. And 6.3a is also very rough. There is no waiting for the different scores. For instance, cost effectiveness, there is no scoring criteria, and the estimated project cost and the expected usage, again, are no criteria. Take the Bremer Hill HAL as an example. Will the whole population of the Eastern District be the potential users? There should be a more detailed and objective scoring system to enhance the transparency so that there can be more support for the HAL. Residents living in Fortress Hill have no objection. We just want you to shelf the section covering Fortress Hill. We don't see how the Fortress Hill section can relieve traffic congestion and enhance walkability of Bremer Hill, because we're quite far away from Bremer Hill. We have no objection to HAL there, but it's just that we want the Fortress Hill section to be shelved to replace a 10-minute walk. We are going to have 4 lifts. Well, 4 lift towers will surround a building with just 4,000 residents. I hope there can be a fresh consultation. Thank you. Mr. Leung Chi-wai. Thank you, Chairman. Regarding HAL, it was first proposed by Mr. Donald Tsang, the CE, back in 2009, and district councils were asked to make proposals. And so far, only 3 projects have been completed, and only one was initiated by the government. The other 2 were completed with cooperation of either URA or the HA. So we feel the progress has been too slow, and this is disappointing. The government would want to make Hong Kong walkable to encourage people to commute by walking. Well, according to by census in 2016, 15.9% of our population are over 65 years old. That is over 1 million. And by 2036, our elderly population is expected to reach 30%. So it's not just the elderly persons and the disabled that can benefit from HALs. For densely populated places like Shui Walk Court, it has more than 4 decades of history, and we want an HAL system to be built ASAP. We want the government to speed up. As regards the scoring criteria, if there are a lot of potential users, then 40 points will be given, and if there are more elderly users, then 20 points. I think we should even out the 2 and make it 30 each. And Shui Chin O Estate is a newly developed housing estate. There is a Bohang Estate, and the stairs linking up the 2 are heavily used. I hope an HAL system can be built for the area. Thank you. In 2018, Mr. Law Kwok Keung, please speak into the microphone. Speak closer to the microphone. All right, I will start again. Yes. The sea in October 2018 announced her policy address and said that in different districts, HEL systems will continue to be built. That sounds good, but it is a bit too late. Because of the delay in implementation, many elderly residents have suffered and they have a lot of resentment. So this contributes to distrust between the government and the residents, and residents or owners also resent OCs, thinking that they have been lazy. In fact, we've been asking the administration to build HEL for us, and in 2002 it was discussed, and in 1919 there was also a discussion, but the government only considered economic benefits. Can you be more in touch with the needs of the people? Government officials always procrastinate by saying that the proposals are on the waiting list. I think the government and also lawmakers would always pass the buck to one another. Siwan Leung implemented the UAP, University Accessibility Program, during his time, and some of the projects have been completed and some have very low utilization, but that is better than better than the situation we face now. Some of the residents just could not wait to see the construction of HELs. Michael James Tan attended a site visit together with the officials to our area, and we still don't have it yet. Lau Kong-wah and Emily Lau were former legislators, and they lobbied for us in this chamber many times. We have sent a lot of petitions, a lot of signature campaigns. The OCs has this regular item on our meeting. Lau Kong-wah is now an accountable officer, and Emily Lau is still an activist. So you have to follow up on this. There must be money for this plan. Please do not filibuster. Come to a district and try to use the stairs and feel the hardship of residents. There must be a program, and there should be no shaking of responsibility among government officials. Thank you. Mr. Zhang Xiuwan. Thank you. I represent Sky Horizon Owners Incorporation in Bremer Hill. From public consultation to now, the project has been on the drawing board for more than 10 years. Now, Shiyan University and has been relocated to this place, and there are also new student quarters built for international schools. In the morning and in the afternoon and even in the evening, we have serious traffic congestion in Bremer Hill. And the residents in the area also aging, and we have a great need for the HEL system, and we hope that it can be expedited. Thank you. Mr. Howard Locke. Thank you. I live in Fotan. It's an excellent idea to have HEL systems. However, sometimes this system will bring us false hopes.
Because for these infrastructure facilities, the residents have to wait for a very, very long time, and they're still not completed. Take Full-Time, for example. We've been looking forward to the shelter for more than 10 years, and it's still at the design stage. Very often, the residents become, as a result, the residents become very disappointed. The original intention of the policy is very good. We hope that the government can expedite its pace. And coming back to the proposal for the escalator links and the lift systems, although I don't live in Shui Wall Court, but I've heard that for a very long time, the residents have been have not seen any progress. So today, I'd like to point out that there will be more and more development, residential development in Fultan, and the population is also aging rapidly. There will be more and more people in need, such as the elderly or those with special needs who will require more assistance to help them move around. The government's planning for the district is not far-sighted and has failed to take care of these people with needs. So for these projects, I hope the government can come more often to the district and listen to the stakeholders. And for any good projects, any projects that will benefit the residents, the government should expedite these projects so that the residents don't have to wait for so long for the escalators and the lifts to be completed. At the district council and the local residents have discussed many times about these facilities, and they all complain that we don't have a transparent system or a scoring system as to how the government decide whether or not to actually accept certain proposals for projects. So the question is whether or not there will be new projects coming on stream to be considered. I hope the government can explain to us more about the new, assessment system, and also come to listen to the residents regarding the scoring system for the number of people who will benefit and so on. Perhaps you can consider the human traffic and also the needs of the elderly and those with special needs, so that you will not give the impression that your scoring system is biased. Thank you. Mr. Lam Ting Kwok. Thank you. My name is Lam Ching Kwok. I'm here to speak in my own personal capacity. I agree that government should, expedite the project on the escalator up Hillside Escalator links. We understand that one lift would cost $2 million. For each project will cost more than 10 million. Some may even cost 100 million. But if most residents agree that we should build these facilities, then I think we should be psychologically prepared that if we are going to approve these projects costing hundreds of millions, then the residents and the officials should support this project. Personally, I have for many years been using the escalator links in Central. The link has helped relieve traffic congestion, and the escalator links have encouraged more people to take part in sports, reduce vehicular traffic, improve the air qualities, and as a result, we can also lower the medical costs, and also mitigate the greenhouse effect and so on. The automatic escalator link system has also actually revitalize the whole district in the mid-levels of Central. Having heard all the deputations today, I think regarding the assessment system, many projects have been neglected, other than those mentioned by the other deputations. For example, in terms of mitigating the traffic congestion, promoting tourism, and so on, all these should be taken in consideration. Regarding the proposal to build Hillside Escalator links, take Raymond Hill, for example. There are more than 10 schools in the area, and the roads are, really, steep and wide, and many students. It's not very convenient for the students to walk around going to school. So I think the government should really make an effort to reduce the air pollution. Regarding the escalator link in Central, now it's only unidirectional. So when I wonder whether the government can build, a bi-directional, escalator links, because it can actually make it more convenient for residents, promote tourism, and revitalize the old districts there. Regarding the TD effort to reduce the number of vehicles, I think we should build more of these escalator links and encourage more people to ride on the railway system. Madam Lee Jun Sao, I think Ms. Lee is going to, put his submissions on the screen. Thank you, Madam Lee. Thank you. I'd like to thank all the electrical members and the officials for listening to us today. Today, I'd like to talk about the long, steps in Taiwan. You may not know too much about the long stairs here in Changwon, which is quite well known in Taiwan, with more than 100 steps. The steps have been built for decades. When it was first built, it was already substandard. If you wear size 35 shoes, the steps are not as long as your shoes, and therefore it's very dangerous to walk on these steps, and very often accidents happen and many residents would trip and fall here. On the right hand side, this is part of the steps and it's not all of it. So one can see how long the steps are. The residents in the area have been waiting for more than 30 years, hoping that the government departments and the officials and electrical members can know about the needs of the residents. We hope that a lift could be built linking Taiwan Road and this estate. So from Pamela Youth Hospital, we have the Pamela Youth Hospital Police Station, home for the elderly, and recreational facilities. The residents have to use these stairs, going to school, going to work, and going to the market. So the residents have been waiting for 30 years already. Other than myself speaking on behalf of the residents, we have more than 30 Kaifong's residents here. If you can accommodate 300 people in a public gallery, I'm sure we can have 300 or even 3,000 residents coming here to express the views. So I hope the councillors will really and the officials will really see the needs of the residents. We have schools, homes for the elderly, and other public facilities, but the public, so it's very inconvenient for the residents and those who are handicapped. I hope that the government officials could try pushing a wheelchair from Lok Choi Terrace and board a bus and see how long it will take, or pushing a wheelchair going up to the Family Youth Hospital and find out how long it will take. It's also very dangerous pushing a wheelchair along the slope like that because it may topple easily. So I think these I may not be able to express everything I want to say in 3 minutes, but I hope the government can really give an opportunity for the residents and build a lift for us here so that we can really have universal accessibility for all. I think that is the responsibility of the government. Thank you, Madam Lee. Next, Mr. Hui Lam Heng. Mr. Hui would also like to put something on the screen. Thank you. I'm the district councillor from the Eastern District. I think this is Tongyan, court near the Holy Cross Lane. Tongyan Court has been built for 20 years already. Next to it, there is a church. Every day there are, churchgoers using the steps. There are 11 steps altogether, and at the bottom there are another 20 steps, each about 2 meters odd wide. So it's been there for more than 20 years. With the last 20 years, the population has aged. When the elderly take these steps, it's very strenuous for them. And every day, almost every hour, you have more than 100 people using the stairs. So I'd like to ask whether the government would consider building an uphill escalator links for these people who have the need to use the steps. People who push, prams or people with luggage cannot, take these steps. At a meeting with the government officials, the officials said would ask the residents to make a detour instead of using those steps, and I don't think that is acceptable. I hope the government will take into consideration the needs of people living in Tung Yan Court, and those going to the church would, build an escalator link there to help them. The government departments said that they've already promised to build the escalator link and that there will be some decision by 2020. I hope that the government can really, expedite the project and build the link as soon as possible. Other than the Tung Yan Court residents, once they heard that the government is going to build an uphill escalator link, they're all very happy. They hope that they will be able to have a chance to use that link. Mr. Bao Wing Hong, thank you. I'm a Kwai Ching District Councillor. Today, I'm representing the residents of Cho Yiu Estate and to reflect to the government about our views regarding uphill escalator links. Regarding the UEL and the escalator systems, it's ranked number 15 from Liking Hill Road I think the escalator links proposed has yet to be built, and we are very disappointed and angry. The Highway Department have told us that they are still conducting a feasibility study. They don't have a clear timetable yet for the project. Some residents already said that the proposal was made when Donald Trump was CE. It's more than 10 years already. Cho Yu Estate and Lai Yu is a very old district. The elderly and the handicapped living in these two estates have an urgent need for a lift to take them from the home to the Liking MTR station. I think the government should really, take back the private slope, and I hope the Highway Department can complete their feasibility study as soon as possible, and the Bureau should approve this project as soon as possible, and so that the government can actually start the statutory procedure for the building of the lift system so that those in Liking and Cho Yu can use those facilities as soon as possible. Ho King Terrace in Kwai Ching is on top of the hill, and the residents have to, have to use Lai Kong Street, and it's very inconvenient for them. I hope that the relevant officials and departments can consider my two proposals from Lai Kong Street to Lai Chi Lang Road, Lai Kong Street to Lim Chou Road, build an automatic lift system and escalator links, and incorporate them into your, uphill escalator link scoring system, and also conduct a preliminary feasibility study and preliminary, and decide on the preliminary alignment. With this lift system, hopefully the residents don't have to, move around and make use of the uphill roads.
Ms. Lo Yok Kyun, I am the chairman of the OC of Fortress Garden in Fortress Hill. Now, the HEL system for Bramy Hill has been discussed for more than 10 years, but there's been no extensive consultation. We're not aware of the proposal. It was not until in 2017 December that we had the first public consultation forum, and we strongly opposed the project because it would cover the half of the territory of North Point. There will be two lifts from Fortress Hill and then to Tin Hau Temple Road to Cloud View Road and then to Bramy Hill Road. And we had to study in depth how come the system is so extensive. And then we had two consultation forums organized by the Highways Department to let us understand the latest situation. On the two forums, we made counter proposals but were rejected. And then at the Eastern District Council, on the 19th of June, 2018, this proposal was endorsed, and we wrote to the EDC to ask for a justification for the position, but we have not received any reply. This is regrettable, and I must censor the district councillors for not doing their duty. Have they considered the impact on Fortress Hill? The project will take 6 to 10 years. There will be a lot of tree felling and cutting of slopes that will affect the structure of Fortress Garden, which was built on a hillside. And then, should there be landslips, perhaps what we witnessed in Cold War Road will happen, and our lives and properties will be lost. I'd like to know, why should we be subject to such fear? I urge the Highways Department to reconsult all the residents affected by the HAL system. We're not against the Bremer Hill HAL, but they can tackle their traffic congestion first. They can carry out the works for their area, and for the areas covering Fortress Hill, you should conduct another study. We don't want our hill slopes to be affected. There are already 2 lifts in Fortress Hill. If another 4 lifts are to be built around our Fortress Garden, then they are expensive, and you are not really using public resources properly. More than $100 million will be spent on building the lifts, and the annual maintenance cost is over $10 million. Mr. Tam Pui Tek, I'm Secretary of the Owners Incorporation of Fortress Garden. Now, regarding the section from Tin Hau Temple Road to Fortress Hill section, there was no prior consultation. The site was wrongly identified, and then members of the public were only consulted after the administration were decided on the project, and EDC endorsed the project against the objection of residents. They would like to build 2 lifts, another 4 lifts, and we've already got 2 lifts there, and in less than 15 meters away, there will be another 2 lifts. So exit A of Fortress Hill MTR station will be seriously congested, and there is no proposal from the Highways Department to address the problem. And there is, they have not fulfilled the barrier-free access requirements. The hill slope there will be cut. Trees will be felled. This will affect the foundation of Fortress Garden. There's been no geotechnical investigation prior to the proposal. The design is really imaginative, but then there is no protection for the lives and properties of residents of Fortress Gardeners at all. The another proposal is to build 2 lifts and elevated walkway to link up Fortress Hill Road and Tin Hau Temple Road. In fact, there are already steps there. They will have to damage 2 hill slopes to build 2 lifts that will be as tall as 62 meters. It is up to the 6th story of Fuka Court, just opposite their place. And to build the 2 lifts, the bus stop will have to be located 32 meters downslope, and as a result, future passengers will have to walk up 32 meters after they have alighted. So this is very inconvenient, and the project cost is very high. It's going to be a white elephant project. We urge the administration to reconsider the needs for the project and whether it will be a waste of public money. Mr. Howai Chun, thank you. I'm from FTU. I have rented a shop at Santin Wai, and every day I have to walk for a long time from Santin Wai to Greenview Garden. We have reflected our views to the Sha Tin District Council a number of times. I hope next to the stairs there can be a lift. Unfortunately, the local DC member opposed. 2 years ago, someone asked that an escalator be built for Sunshine Estate. In fact, the proposal is infeasible. And it is really just a tactic to, and then that member was here not long ago and saying that district councillors should be consulted before such a system is built. Now, what are the criteria? I think the greatest criterion is whether the facility is needed by the residents. Please take a look at the situation at Santin Wai Estate, and this is how the people have to take their children to school. The population is over 8,000. Half of them are elderly, and they have to carry their kids to schools and to go shopping. I thought I was living in the late Qing Dynasty days, because the traffic is very inconvenient, and the housing estate or the resident there are aging, and the relevant district councillor has not done anything to help. Some of the residents may take a taxi and go to the public market in another housing estate so that they can shop the groceries for the whole week and then stay indoors. I have collected over 1,000 signatures, and about 50 residents there went to the Transport Department office in Mongkok. Now, 2 of the 50 residents have passed away since. I don't want the HEL constructed only after all 50 residents have passed away. I don't know whether they can live long enough to see this infrastructure. Mr. Lam Siu Chung, I am the chairman of the OC of Kingming Court. Zhang Guanao is the 3rd generation of new towns in Hong Kong, and when we considered Kingming Court, we saw MTR extension planned, and it was very attractive. And Kingming Court and Choi Lam Estate have together close to 30,000 residents, and there are also a few schools. Now, take On Tak Estate and Po Tak Estate as example. They have escalator and elevator links. For Zhang Guanao, many of the residential developments are built on reclaimed land, and we've also got developments on hill slopes. Before the commissioning of the Zhang Guanao line in 2002, there was no traffic services planned by the administration for the residents up in the hill slopes. And when there is a typhoon, residents can only take a GMB or a franchised bus. During the attack of Mangat, well, there was no bus or GMB service. People had to walk to the MTR station. So I have lived in Kingmin Court for 30 years, but we do not have any infrastructure. I'm also district councillor. I hope that there can be an HEL system from Hong Shing Garden to Po Hong Road. It's been more than 10 years. Under the Universal Accessibility Program, residents are allowed to suggest elevated walkways. So the residents should be allowed to make proposals, because we waited for 10 years and in the interim construction costs have escalated. Mr. Chung Ting Hong, thank you. Good morning. 10 years ago, the first batch of projects were proposed and only 3 have been completed. So the government must review its mechanism. Many Gaifengs have been waiting for these projects to commence work, and some of them could not live long enough to see them implemented. Now, in Pok Fu Lam, in between Wah Fu and Wah Kwai Estate, where they have a population of 40,000, and all of them can only rely on one lift to travel between the 3 housing estates, because Wah Kwai Estate was sold under the TPS and the shopping mall was sold to the Link, and 40,000 people have been betrayed, because the hill slope is now private hill slope belonging to the Link REIT. And even part of the right to maintain and repair the lift was sold to the Link REIT, which again sold the lift to a private developer. So now a private company is in control of the lift. They can decide when and where, whether to maintain or repair the lift. 1 out of every 4 residents there are over 65 years old, and 26% of the residents have to use the lift. And so more than 10,000 people are using the lift on a daily basis. So the lift has to operate around the clock. And then just a few days ago, the lift broke down, and it was out of service for 2 weeks. So the elderly residents had a big problem. There was no direct public transport to QMH, so for wheelchair-bound residents, they had no choice but to take a taxi to reach QMH for medical follow-up. We've asked whether the HD can be another passage between Wah Kwai Estate and Wah Fu Estate. Were told that they don't have the right, because the land now belongs to a private developer. Instead of 99,000 odd units, there will be 20,000 units there, and then the population will increase substantially. Together with Wah Kwai Estate, the population will reach over $70,000, and still they have to rely on a single lift. I'd like to know whether it's an omission on the part of the government. Thank you. I am Kok Fu Yong from Kwai Ching District Council. I'd like to share with you the views of DB, and also the views of more than 100,000 people living in this area. They need HEL systems, they need barrier-free accesses. They want a 5 billion fund to be set up for works to carry out the HEL projects, so that we can have dedicated funds for such works.
Many communities are built on slopes. The pavements are also very steep, It's the same in Northeast Kwai Chung. The residents have to walk on slopes. The population is aging, and it's very, very difficult for the elderly to move around, and they often complain about the difficulties they face. The government has always been advocating people to use railway as the backbone of our transport system, supplement of buses. But the nearest railway station to Tung is the Kwai Hing railway station. The vertical distance between the Kwai Hing estate and the station is very, short. But with the residents have to walk to the MTR station, they have to, walk along the slopes and the steps, and then the pedestrian footbridge along Castle Peak Road, and then Whiteside Street pavement, go through the industrial area, go up a flyover in Kwai Chung before going to the MTR station. It's only 1.5 kilometers. If you draw a straight line between the two locations, but the residents it's really a strenuous, effort for the residents to walk to the station. So many of them will take the GMBs. This actually would aggravate the traffic congestion in the area. So since 2013, the Northeast Kwai Chung district residents have always have this need. They agree that we need to build an uphill, escalator links, one of which will be next to the Yunqing Secondary School. And this is a step which residents have to walk every day, going to the bus stations, the shopping centers, and going to schools. We hope that a barrier-free, access could be built as soon as possible. The compound house also has a desperate need for a barrier-free access. Many of the entrance to these residential estates are steps, and for those who are on wheelchairs, what can they do? Another location was the pedestrian along Washington Street. We hope that we can build a lift system here. So I don't want to, elaborate too much on the details. I hope government can really, make use of the designated funds to build the Hillside Escalator links. Well, some of the deputations who have registered but have not yet turned up. So now I will ask the Secretary to give a global response. Following that, members can ask the questions. We have Mr. Ho Kai Ming and Mr. Fukar Fai who have indicated, and Mr. Au Lok Hin and Mr. Paul Chair would like to ask questions. Secretary. I'd like to thank the deputations for their candid, views and telling us about their aspirations. Overall speaking, they have focused on individual projects. Some refer to Football Garden, Shui Walk, Court, Bremer Hill, and I will invite our colleagues from the Highways Department to give a brief response in respect of the individual projects. Many deputations said that we should do better in terms of the system. We should consult more the views of the stakeholders. And also in our assessment system, we should take more factors into consideration, and that we should communicate with more stakeholders, and that we should enhance transparency. We've heard all that. As for the other issues, I understand that among the different stakeholders and the residents, they have different views and opinion. And because we have these divergent views, we need to rationalize everything, and as a result, progress is affected. We will continue to adopt an open mind, and we are willing to communicate more with the stakeholders. Hopefully, we would have your support so that we can, proceed with the, project to build these Hillside Escalator links. With that, I'll ask the Highway Department to respond to, those projects which come under the purview of the Highways Department. Thank you. Highways? Mr. Ma. I think we've heard the residents' views regarding proposal for an escalator link going up to Bremer Hill. I'd like to add that this project has been discussed for many years. Since 2014, we've conducted many rounds of consultation at the district council and at the district level. Regarding the respect of the design, we've gone to the planning and works committee of the Eastern District Council, and we've also had the support in November 2017, and we attended a residents forum and explained to them our design. In March 2018, we also had a site visit together with electrical members, district councils, and residents. From April 2018 and May, we had meetings with schools and focus groups to discuss the proposal. In June 2018, we further consulted the district council, and we would only start the design after the district council is agree on the final design. If residents have any further views regarding our proposal, we will welcome any suggestions. Anything from the TD? Mr. Law, thank you. Some deputations commented on our assessment system. We're now reviewing that assessment system. In December last year at the transport panel, we already briefed members on that. Today, we've also heard some views and comments regarding our assessment system, and we'll promise to go back and review that. Regarding comments regarding the Hillside Escalator links, we've already received such inputs earlier before we commence the consultancy study. We will follow the established mechanism and to assess these inputs which we have received. We expect that we will proceed with projects with a higher score. After we've launched the first batch, we together with the old submissions received, we will have another review. Thank you. 6 members would like to ask questions. Ho Kai Ming, Siu Ka Fai, Au Lok Hin, Paul Chia Yung, Hai Wai, and so we only have 20 minutes left, so may I suggest 3 minutes for each member. Mr. Ho Kai Ming. Thank you. I think we've been talking about this project for 10 years already. I'm referring to the scoring system. I don't think the government was only been able to complete those projects with the help of the MTR for the Chiwan Estate, and the URA also helped with the UR Street project. So the difficulty if the government you only have a difficulty if the government were to take on the project alone. For the pedestrian system for Chuk Yuen North, the government says that it will yet conduct another round of consultation. For the new projects in the pipeline, I think progress is too slow, especially given that the population is aging fast. So the lift system being the last mile in the transport system, together with the railway being the backbone of our transport system, I think this is important part of our strategy. I think we shouldn't have to rely on GMBs and buses. I think that the lift should be the last mile, so that we should have. But the government or the DD is not taking this as an important part of the transport strategy. I don't think the lift system should have such a low priority compared with the other modes of transport. The government talks about all the difficulties that it faces, and it tells us about the selection criteria. So has the government considered all the short-term transport facilities globally? Thank you.
多謝何啟明議員嘅。
Thank you, Mr. Ho. Basically, you raised 2 points: progress of our project, and secondly, the policy. First of all, regarding progress, I think there is room for improvement. To build an hillside escalator system, we have to start with a preliminary feasibility study. It takes about 6 to 9 years for the whole project to complete. And many factors will need to be considered, including the alignment, the human traffic, and all that. Regarding the overall policy, now the scoring mechanism was set in 2009. In the policy address in 2017, the DC announced the universal accessibility, principle. For those who've heard the depositions today, I'm sure we've all heard the aspiration of the government to build these hillside escalator links as soon as possible. Other than number 25, 26, and 37, Mr. Chen Ka-lok. Those 3 gentlemen are, officials of the, Fortress Garden OCs. I'd like to declare that I'm the district councillor from Braemar Hill area. I was the one who requested for the building of the hillside escalator link. We've already explained that there are more than 10 schools in the area. There is always, traffic congestion in the area. So I hope the government should really build and hillside escalator links for the area. Secretary, you've just been on board the team. I've started, working on this project in 2007. I'm almost about to retire. It's taking so long. So if Hong Kong were to continue like that, I think it's really, lagging behind Singapore and other cities. While we respect the concern of residents, I'd like to, clarify the facts. Initially, at the beginning, we had some meetings with residents, and originally you raised your concern. For example, there's a, footbridge blocking the view of the low floors near Clementine School. And there is also a section of the road which is a private road, and you're worried that the road will be narrow, it will affect your potted plants. And thirdly, you say that the escalator, I think the district councillor, the other district councillors have from the district told me about your concern, because you say that the link will block your views and so on, and we agree that we should put it on hold. Whereas for the third project, for the lift, I think for those people on wheelchairs, they would take 10 minutes for them to detour through Clementine School before they can go to the station. So I don't think your view will be blocked, because the escalator will only reach the level of your car park. So I think we should all respect each other. I agree that you should fight for the interests of your residents, but for the whole of Hong Kong, Braemar Hill is a very large area. Many people live there. Mr. Ka-lok, I'd like to remind you also, I don't know whether you'll be contesting election in the Fortress Hill area, but there is not just Fortress Garden. There are other people living in other estates in Braemar Hill area. Well, Mr. Loughin, I think the whole project is very inefficient. Even for those projects which have been completed, you've taken 10 years to complete this project, and it's not acceptable. I think the government should think about how it should do better. We have so many of these projects. You have the Hillside Escalator, links, and you have projects for universal accessibility, and the 2 projects are different. For universal accessibility scheme, you cannot, resume land, but for the escalator links, you can resume land. Secondly, having heard all the submissions, I think we can learn from the experience. There are several projects the long steps in Aberdeen, Shan Tin Wai, and Ma On Shan. That's one type of project. And secondly, projects that was built by the government and sold to, sold to a private operator. And I think you should give priority as how you can, tidy up the area. Fortress Hill, different residents in different estates have different concerns. So why is it that you've taken 10 years? It's because you are working at the same time on several projects. You already have made plans for various locations, but could you be more flexible? I understand of some of the projects, it only involve one slope. Why don't you build a lift there and then you can resolve the problem?
同埋
I think we should be flexible, and you should learn from your experience in implementing the project. Although the government has got an efficiency unit, I don't know what it has done. I think you just use your brain, and the project shouldn't have taken 10 years. Is there any response from the Undersecretary? Thank you, Mr. Au, for your questions. You've made two suggestions. First is about consolidating the health system and also the UAP. I think the two projects have their different objectives, and merging the two may not be feasible. And then, yes, we will learn from our experience, and we will be flexible in tackling the projects. Mr. Jeremy Tam, well, I would just like to express my views because, Mr. Porter, I would like to express my views, and there may not be enough time for the Undersecretary to respond. Hong Kong is a hilly place, and our population is aging, and we have a lot of difficulties. I thank Mr. Lam for telling us the benefits of such a system. Now, we don't want the LegCo to become district councils. We should not just focus on individual cases, but we thank the deputations for coming to the subcommittee to tell us the conflicts about certain projects. Now, for the 10 already accepted projects, I'd like to know whether it is a fluid situation, or is it the case that after the line is drawn, you cannot add to that 10 projects because you are now consulting the public for projects that involve a single housing estate or a single road, or for things inside a hospital or involving public facilities. Can you review the 10 proposals so that some can be removed as some new projects can be added? I hope you can consider this possibility. And regarding social benefits and cost effectiveness, you use parameters such as cost per capita and the number of potential users, so on and so forth. But how can you work out the potential users? Is it based on the population there, or do you have more objective criteria? In the past, sometimes you might count the pedestrian circulation, but without that facility, people will not just use that passage. Do you have any sub-criteria for your scoring criteria? I understand that 3 out of 18 have been completed and 5 are under construction. I think you have allocated 1 project to each district for the sake of fairness, but perhaps this is not the fairest way. Ms. Eunice Yong, I am concerned about the limitations of the assessment system. I want to thank deputations for their views. I think some of them have asked for a health system for a long time. Now, for Football Garden, we started to ask for an HAL for more than 20 years ago. And yet the government is still, the project is still on the waiting list, pending study and design. I'd like to ask what the government has done in the past 10 years. What is the point of your assessment system? Do you want to procrastinate forever? What is the objective of your assessment system? You're now proposing a new assessment system. I think there will be more hurdles. And in the detailed assessment stage, you have got 2 elements: social benefits and cost effectiveness. And I think if there are more people using the facility, of course, the cost per capita will be lower. And you said that when heritage and valuable trees affected, then the proposal will not proceed further. So that is already shortlisting. That means under your revised assessment scheme, some of those that have been shortlisted for further consideration will be excluded if they fall into one of the 6 criteria. The proposal is to help the elderly residents. Now, those who were young ones are now old, and if we have to wait for another 1 or 2 decades, this is very inefficient. Every time you can only work on 1 or 2 systems. So do they have to wait for another 10 years before they can have another couple of systems planned? Mr. Law, in 2009, we put cost as one of the considerations, but now we have separated social benefits and cost benefits. So a project will only be accepted if both criteria can be satisfied. Among the 114 projects, we hope that the first batch can be shortlisted for consultation with district councils early next year. We have no intention to procrastinate. We intend to consult district councils on no less than 20 projects in early next year. And Mr. Porze asked whether we will not accept further proposals in addition to the 114 we have now. Well, when we have new resources, we will reassess the unselected projects of the 114 to be considered together with new proposals using the revised criteria. Well, we have another meeting to discuss the mechanism, so we are not going to discuss the issues related to the assessment today. Now, for health projects, you have to design and consult and then conduct a study, and then you will come to the council for funding approval. But I think you do understand nowadays how efficient it is to seek funding approval from the council. So for projects that have yet to get funding support, I don't know how long they have to wait. So there are deputations who propose today that a dedicated fund be set up. With this, help the government to be better prepared in making available money for these projects so that we can carry them out more expeditiously. And what about those that are already on the waiting list? But because of slope works, the projects have been suspended or deferred. So if the slope works already completed, when can works start for the respective Hill project? First, whether we can have a dedicated fund, I think the Liking Hill project is relevant. I will defer to a colleague later on this point. And as for UAP and other projects, they can obtain funding under a block vote. But for the Hill project, because the project costs are much higher and they should better be handled under the Public Works program. We do appreciate the concerns and aspirations of the public. In our mechanism, we'll consider the possibility or feasibility of having a dedicated head for Hill projects. Well, if there are further suggestions on the funding arrangements, do consult the subcommittee further. For Liking Shan't pedestrian links, because the location is on two dangerous hill slopes, so we had to wait until slope works were completed. And the slope works were completed in 2018, and the feasibility study for the system was completed in March this year. In parallel, we have started the preparation work for construction, and we are in the process of hiring project consultant, and we hope that works can start as soon as possible. How soon? Do you have any time frame? We hope that the consultancy study can be done in the latter half of this year. All right, we have only a few minutes left. I want to thank deputations for your views, and the subcommittee will continue its work on Hill projects, and we will conduct site visits to some proposals. Thank you very much for your attendance. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.